It's now time for the American Idiots Podcast, where we debate the top headlines currently dividing our country. With Money Mike, the Black Sheep Sean, the Manic Hispanic, Tropic Thunder, Fox, Tara, and Richard the Spark. Get ready, America, because the American Idiots Podcast starts right now.
All across the alien mission, everything isn't meant to be okay. The television dreams of tomorrow, we're not the ones I'm meant to follow, but that's enough to warn you. Well, maybe I'm the faggot America.
Welcome to the American Idiots Podcast. This is the Black Sheep. Right now, I'm going to bring in Money Mike with me. We're going to
What's up, y'all?
Yeah, we're going to talk just a little bit about the American Seige. This is pretty much a test run for some of my equipment. I had a huge equipment failure this morning, so we're definitely going to see and make sure that I'm not crashing again. It's crazy how this shit happens, you know. My dad used to do this kind of stuff in a studio. Cable access, and yeah, you can imagine all sorts of kind of problems that he had back then. And here we are thinking that, you know, with the technology and everything's on the web, everything is so easily accessible that everything's just going to run smooth. And as soon as you get on, there's no sound. As soon as you try to do something, the picture goes away, and you're just like, ah! So,
I think that's why the phrase "nothing can go wrong live" was invented, Sean.
Right. You know, I mean, we used to. That's something that you don't know a lot about. Donald and I, when we did Sci-Fi Visions, we actually used to record the show. And he's in California. I'm here in Arkansas. So I would do like an hour worth of segments. They were all scripted. And yeah, we even have a blooper reel of all the times that we messed up and everything. But he would be filming his part. I would be filming mine. We'd have to send them together, mesh it all. It was like a 5-hour process, you know?
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely crazy to put together. It's actually, honestly, easier from a logistical standpoint to do a live show than it is to do a tape show. Because to do a tape show, you're talking about doing things where you have to go in and edit, and you're trying to perfect it. Whereas, you know, to turn a phrase, fuck it, you're live. If something happens, then it happens. There's nothing exactly you can do with that. In case you can't tell, I don't know if I said this on Monday, actually I didn't know Monday, but I did end up testing positive for COVID-19, so that's why I sound kind of fucked up.
Right. Yeah, you were just telling me just before we came on, you've lost your sense of taste and all sorts of things. I'm curious. I don't want to catch this shit. I've been a frontline worker since the shit started. I've been extremely lucky, wear my mask, wash my hands all the time. But holy shit, man. You know, like so many people I know have popped positive on this shit, and they've all had different experiences. Most haven't been very bad. I do know a family out in Mayflower that lost 4 members of their family back in June.
Well, and that's the thing I want to throw out there. Yes, my experience hasn't been terrible, but trust me, I'm not going to be tempting fate anytime soon, because I'm not going to lie. You know, I kind of laugh about it now, but when the woman told me, she kind of told me kind of nonchalant. She was like, yeah, you tested positive. Well, yeah, it's positive. And you could tell she was kind of smiling. And I said, wait, what, are you serious? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was scared shitless when she told me I tested positive.
Right.
It's not been that bad. Like I told you earlier, it's a lot like a really shitty cold. But my experience, like you said, everybody's experience is different. I would not advise you to go out there and actively try to catch this shit.
No.
It's not fun. Just the quarantining alone, I'll tell you this much, is not fucking fun. I mean, I'll sit there and try to take my dog out or something, and I have to wear a mask even taking my dog out now because I'm worried about the people around me catching it, in the other apartments. So definitely, wear your damn mask. Make sure you don't catch this shit because it does suck.
Right. Hey, Fox, thanks for
Good
joining us.
morning.
Man, we tried to do something earlier this morning. My whole system crashed. So now we're testing out my system. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened as far as the Capitol. We're not going to get too deep into it because we have another perspective tomorrow. We're doing it 9 a.m. And then we're, of course, doing the American Idiots Monday night. So, yeah, there's so much information to cover. And
Wow, it's 9 a.m.
yeah. I know it's just all our schedules are all messed up right now because of COVID and work schedules and different things like that. So Donald's got it. We don't even know if we'll be able to do our other shows, right now because of how he's feeling and everything. So
little programming note as it stands right now. We plan on going back to back tomorrow with Sci-Fi Visions and then Shenanigans podcast. But, that could change in flux depending upon whether Duck could do a show or anything tomorrow. Hell, the more I sit here and talk, the shittier my voice is getting. So we'll see what's going on.
And the
Mike is awkward. Oh no, it's just your voice. Dang,
right?
Mike.
Oh yeah, COVID's no joke. It's not fun.
Wait, you tested positive?
Yeah, I tested positive Tuesday.
Yeah, he's got it. That's why everything's kind of like weird right now, and we're all trying to do different things and different times, and everybody's quarantining, and it's crazy right now.
I have not left. Well, we did go grocery shopping yesterday, but I've not left my house since I got back from out of state like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Hey, let me tell you, it's not fun. But like I told Sean, my experience is probably one of the better experiences that anybody can say they had because essentially I've killed it so far with NyQuil and Dayquil. So I mean, it's not too bad yet, but we'll see.
Death, so.
What?
You sound like death, so.
Oh yeah, I can't taste shit either. I don't know if I can smell anything. I haven't tried that yet.
So
I hope you don't die. So
he's not gonna die. So I guess we'll get right to the meat of it real quick. 3 days ago, we had people that attempted to storm and stop.
Not attempted. They did.
They did.
Well,
no. They did.
But what I'm saying is they tried to stop the steal, as they tried to say, and the perspectives that I've been seeing online are so different across the spectrums. I mean, even left, even right, people are talking about this in so many different ways. And like, you guys, how do you guys actually think? Do you see this as an actual insurrection?
Yes.
I see this as a terrorist attack. I see this as completely unacceptable. I think it should be prosecuted as such. Think about this. So this is naturally where I go with this. If it would have been, and this should be just same rules apply, if somebody would have tried to get onto a military installation, they would have been shot immediately. And oh yes, they would have. The guards are at military installations. If you don't have access, they are authorized to kill you almost immediately. Can you not hear me, Sean?
No, I can hear you. You're just too close to the mic.
I'm too close. Okay.
Yeah.
I keep moving it closer because I think you're telling me to move it closer.
No. A little back. There you go.
Okay, cool.
It's much better.
So, like I said, the deal is with this, I look at this as a terrorist attack. The thing that I found interesting is this may finally be the point where you finally see the clear divide between the Trumpians and the Republican Party. Because if you've noticed, the Trumpians, as I'm going to call them now, Rubio, Cruz, everybody, has been quick to defend. Meanwhile, you have your Romneys of the world, even the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, who are coming out and saying this is completely unacceptable. How dare the fucking president? It's your rhetoric, etc., etc. Something that we have not heard them firmly come out and say up until this point. And it's absolutely asinine the fact that it took something like this for it to show that clear divide. But I think we may finally see an end to Trump's influence over the Republican Party. I think that what we're going to see now is a clear division where the Trump crowd goes into this third party, and then you have the GOP and the liberal or the Democratic Party on the other side. So I think we're seeing the birth of a viable third party.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, the Tea Party kind of died. They're not really a thing anymore. The Republicans being splintered is just kind of what's happened to the Democrats too. I mean, they're splintered as well. So there's just a mismatch of smorgasbord of bullshit right now on both sides.
Right.
And I don't think anybody's uniting on either side right now, except that everyone on the Democrat side, I guess you could say, is pissed off at Trump.
As they should be.
Yeah, and there's still all the divisions and everything. So, but I guess I want to take this really slow and talk about it through the entire process of what actually happened, because I don't quite see it as insurrection. I see it as mob rule. Now some of these people had some plans. They wanted to go in and usurp the government, but there was no organization. There was no real strategy. I mean, Trump was just like, let's go to the White House. I'll be right there with you. I mean, the Capitol.
And you could tell that as soon as they got in there. As soon as they got in there, everybody scattered.
So,
Fucking the dude from Gravit went to the Speaker of the House's fucking desk and tossed his feet up on the desk. What a fucking piece of shit, whether I like Nancy Pelosi or not.
Hold on. Let Fox say something.
So I completely disagree, because those of us that are in leftist organizing circles have literally known about this for weeks, because we have people that watch parlors that have created fake accounts to sit in on these online circles. Like, I'm not gonna say. I mean, anytime you get what was it, like 1,500 people? There's a lot of fucking people.
I think there was more than that.
I'm not going to say that there probably were not some that just showed up to be like, woohoo, Trump, and then just kind of followed the crowd. But this being a thing that happened absolutely was planned and organized, and leftist activists have been warning about it for weeks and posting about it on Twitter for weeks.
And I'm not dismissing the intel that the left has shown, right? Because we knew that on Facebook, Twitter, Parler, on different social media aspects that the what do they call it? The boys? What are they called?
Proud Boys.
The Proud Boys and other groups had tried to say, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. But when the leader of the Proud Boys was arrested, they had to change how they were going to appear so that they would all know each other. They lost each other in the crowd. I don't think anyone expected Donald Trump to actually try to fire up the base that morning like he did, and then just actually say, hey, let's go to the Capitol. I don't think they expected that from him. And then that emboldened the entire crowd to go that way, which I think really did take out a lot of the planning, and it just became pure chaos. Because once they got into the Capitol, there was no real objective. Nobody did anything. It was just chaos. People got hurt. People got killed. But it just fizzled after a while because they had no real direction once they got to the Capitol. And that's why, yes, a few people planned insurrection, but it was doomed to fail because of poor planning, because they had no real strategy, because these people have not studied Sun Tzu's The Art of War and know how to do things. Some of these are military.
These people, you're right. You were about to say some of these people are ex-military. I'm sure a lot of these people are ex-military. And it's fucking funny. I mean, it's not funny. My way of processing trauma is humor. But
Yeah,
it's like
morbid humor.
we
Yes.
have literally taken batons to the face, mace to the face, tear gas
Yes.
to the face, and
Yes.
just been like, gas me more, daddy. And these motherfuckers are like throwing entire temper tantrums over
Right.
like getting a couple pepper balls. So it's
And-
like, and they always talk about how we're like the pussy libs, which I take offense at being called a lib, period. But
Right? I'm freezing.
I just think it's the most like, it's terrifying, but it was also the most hilarious thing that I've ever seen in my life.
Well, and the
We've been doing
hypocrisy.
this for years, and it's like
Exactly.
we've been doing this for literal years, and y'all have one little. I wouldn't even call it a bad day because you had cops literally waving you inside the building.
Yes.
But like,
It's you know that meme I shared. It said it's awkward to for this to be the situation where we find out cops don't know how to use deadly force, and it's true. It's fucking sad. Not that I authorize them shooting these motherfuckers, but
I do.
You kind of should have shot these motherfuckers.
Here's the thing, too.
If that had been black folks fighting for Black Lives Matter, there would be blood in the street.
Absolutely.
Yes, I agree with that statement because of this. No one took it seriously from the Capitol Police. The Trump administration didn't care. That's why they didn't call any National Guard or anything up there, because ultimately it's up to Donald Trump to bring in the National Guard, which he did when Black Lives Matter show up. There were thousands and thousands of National Guard troops that showed up from all over the country. He didn't care about that. He wasn't going to do anything. In fact, it wasn't until all hell broke loose, people were shitting in the fucking rotunda, spearing shit everywhere, destroying everything. 5 people died. That's when Pence finally called in the National Guard. I mean, he superseded and did it.
I mean, and mind you, number one, let's just start with I want to get to Pence here in a second because I'm going to piss you guys off because I'm going to applaud Pence for the way he handled this situation. But with that being said, I want to start off with Pence. Mind you, the National Guard situation, there was one big name that was not part of that conversation. And that right there should tell you everything about where we are 14 days before this transfer of power. Donald Trump was not on the conversation or not in the conversation to whether they should have activated the National Guard. It was the Secretary of Defense, it was Mike Pence, and I believe it was Nancy Pelosi that were the three individuals that were in that conversation. Donald Trump, the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, was not in that conversation, and that is very telling to me.
Yeah,
Sean, we lost your mic. I don't know what you did, but we lost your mic. Nope.
It's doing it again.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
no,
touch it.
It's out again.
I think you have a short in your headphones.
How about now? Now
we're good.
Okay, all right.
We're good.
So Mike Pence was, I don't think it was an intentional setup, but that motherfucker was set up. When Trump finally said, "Hey, let's go to the Capitol," and there's the vice president, and all these people start coming in, they have to hunker down and everything. I'm sure shit went through his head. Like, what did that motherfucker just do? Like, I'm gonna die. Like, a lot of them thought they were gonna die, and what's very admirable is at the closing of when they tallied all the electoral votes and they actually said that Biden won the presidency and they did their final prayer, which I really don't care for, but it was very telling to watch Mike Pence at the very end when they said what they did at the end of that prayer. And we hope that the country's able to heal, get past this, and we can actually find justice for all of that. You could see Mike Pence say, "Amen." Like he was shaken up by this entire experience. And unfortunately, I don't think he's going to side against Trump for this impeachment or for,
he absolutely. I think he will. I think that
Twitter, like
I'll be honest with you. I think him and Nancy were sitting there talking, and when Nancy said, "Let's invoke the 25th," if he didn't think hard about it, I would be surprised.
I'm sure he considered it, but I don't think that he's actually going to go all the way. If they did, I think he would pardon Trump, just like Ford pardoned Nixon.
Do I think he would pardon Trump? It's possible.
Right.
I don't think he would do it just to play Trump's buddy. I think he would do it just to be like, let's fucking move on, kind of like Ford did. I think at this point, Pence is done with Trump. Just looking at his actions over the past 7 days, I think Pence has washed his hands. He wants to get the fuck out of there. He is so over this bullshit that he just wants to get the fuck out of there. That's why I think that Mike Pence is not a bad situation to just sit there, kick his feet up for 14 days in the Oval Office, and he's not going to do shit.
Right. Now,
yes, we are live on YouTube, Fox.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried to answer it. It didn't send. Oh, yeah, it did. Okay. So when you guys watched,
Put it on my Twitter.
If you guys did watch the speech from Donald Trump, I know I did, and when he said, "Let's go down to the Capitol," what were your thoughts at that point?
I didn't watch the speech, but the fact that he used that tone. I mean, we've been talking for weeks and weeks about how Trump is. We've been joking about the 25th. We've been joking about impeachment because, let's be clear, we're now 10 days, I think, away from away from the presidency switching hands. What does it really do at this point? But when that happened, it becomes a real possibility because in 10 days, God only knows what that man can do. So, I mean, that's the thing. As soon as everything was going down, that's why I immediately said they need to invoke the 25th Amendment immediately. I mean, I was joking, but does anyone have G-Dub's number? Because I'm sure he'd love to put a boot up Trump's ass and just sit there at the desk for 11 days and chill. Because he'd love to be the one to put the boot in Trump's ass. I know he can, but
I mean, unfortunately, it wouldn't work that way. It would automatically go to Pence because he is the vice president in standing.
Right.
So, yeah, and of course, Pence isn't going to let Nancy Pelosi take over. That's just not going to happen.
No,
because she'd be next in line.
Even though I will say this past week has shown me that these motherfuckers can work together. Because when Tom fucking Cotton is coming out saying, Trump, you done fucked up, you done crossed the line.
Evil motherfucker. He's an evil motherfucker.
But he's also a brilliant motherfucker when he came out the way that he did.
That doesn't make him not evil.
Okay, but what I'm trying to set up here, though, is that Tom Cotton wants to run for president in 2024. He just established that he's the best candidate for the Republican Party. Most Republicans actually liked his show of strength. If you look at the comments and everything like that, he could be their next great white hope, as you know what I'm saying.
I'll give him credit. He kept the same energy he had back in June and July with this crowd.
He was consistent.
I will give him credit there because a lot of people flipped. And I'm not saying that they didn't learn their lesson from June and July to now, but a lot of people flipped and said, a lot of Republicans flipped from fuck the protests to, so yeah, I mean, I've got to give him credit. He kept the same energy as, no, we're not going to fucking do this. Donald, what you said was dangerous.
Right.
When he said that, I was like, what the fuck just happened? Did you just call your best fucking friend dangerous?
Right. I mean, you see what's happened to Lindsey Graham as he's walking, through that airport, how people have turned on him, calling him a traitor. They're going after Mitt Romney. Basically, anyone.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. Why are they going after Mitt? Because Mitt was one of the loudest ones saying, fucking Donald, goddamn Trump, you dumb motherfucker, you caused this. So why would people be going after Mitt? Because Mitt was was even louder, in my opinion, than Tom.
Well, he was louder than Biden, in my opinion.
True. And that's the thing. Why would people be going, unless it's pro-Trump people? Calvin says these Republicans are recognizing that this is a shit show and are trying to distance themselves ahead of the fallout. Pence and Cotton are both probably acting out of consideration for their presidential runs. Calvin, I will say this. I don't think Pence wants the presidency, especially seeing the past 4 years. I don't think Pence has any aspirations to be president of the United States, nor do I think he could make it out of the primaries.
Well,
He's a lot like
He'd be
Mitt.
like, he'd be like, "Fuck this shit, I'm out."
Exactly.
yeah, I mean,
You can tell his body language, he's just so over it.
but the difference between Pence and Trump is that Pence was a career politician. That's why he was picked to be vice president, because everyone thought that he could control Trump, which was absolutely wrong.
Yeah,
Now,
he was supposed to be that bridge between Capitol Hill and Donald.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the Dick Cheney to Donald Trump. And unfortunately, he wasn't that strong. I mean, a guy that gets, that shoots somebody in the face and that person apologizes on national television for getting shot in the face, that's a powerful motherfucker. You don't fuck with him. Pence is not that guy. But I could see Pence trying to run against a Cotton. I could see that, given 2 years break from all this chaos and everything, he may come back with a new message.
I'll say this: if Pence runs, Pence will be the establishment guy, whereas Cotton will be the Trump people guy.
Yes, I agree.
I will say this week's actions, I believe, is what will cause that split. If Donald Trump runs in 2024, he will not run as a Republican. He will not win another nomination as a Republican nominee for president of the United States.
You think so?
Absolutely not. The party won't allow it to happen at this point.
I know that there's a lot of people upset.
His party has abandoned him. They jumped ship, so.
A lot of people have, but there are people, I'm out here working in the public, and I'm hearing this stuff from the people that have supported him. They still love the guy. They still want him. They would vote for him in 2024.
And let's take a moment for these people out here that you're referring to. Let's take a moment to compare and contrast what happened this week with what happened back in June and July. Because I am so tired of looking at people and then telling me, oh, what's the difference? What's the difference between what happened in June and July? They burned buildings down and all sorts of shit back in June and July. We just went in there and fucked the Capitol up. Exactly. Number one, that's the big difference. We went in the motherfucking United States Capitol. They, from what I've seen here, they were respectful of government buildings in Little Rock. They didn't try to enter those government buildings. They were peaceful. They didn't forcefully enter anything from what I saw back in June and July. Whereas these people, like I said, I saw this and I kind of laughed it off, but it's true when you think about it. This was a coup attempt. This was an attempt at a coup when you look at it. You don't agree?
No, I don't think that they had the strength. I don't think that they had the strategy. I don't think they had the leadership to pull off a coup. That's why it fell apart the way that it did.
You don't think that the actual opinion of the Trump people were to keep Trump in office and thereby a coup?
Just because it was failed doesn't mean that it doesn't qualify as an attempted coup. It was absolutely failed and bullshit, and it's very evident that they didn't know what the fuck. Most of them didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Right. That's why
I will say, if they had not, I truly believe that if they had not evacuated everyone out of session when they had, there would be a lot of dead senators.
Absolutely agree.
And that may have happened, but it still would have fallen apart.
I will tell you this much, knock on wood, and I'm glad they got him out of there. Pence would have been the first target.
I agree.
No, absolutely not. It would have been Nancy Pelosi. It would have been AOC. It would have been the women that they hate so much. They would have gone after that.
I could maybe see Nancy being close, but think about it. Pence had just come out that week, not 48 hours before that happened, and said, I'm not going to stop this, Donald. And since then, he has been drugged by Trump supporters.
They also like I think I'm gonna change my original response to that and probably agree with Sean, because they've been dragging AOC and the squad since day fucking one. And
they would have gone after
color,
the squad. They would have gone after Nancy Pelosi. They would have gone after Dianne Feinstein. The people they've hated for 20 years.
Yeah,
these women that they cannot stand. This misogynic, toxic, masculine group would have went in there and probably raped and murdered all of them. It would have been fucking disgusting. And my wife disagreed with me when I actually said that to her when we were talking about it. She's like, "Oh, you're taking it to the extreme." No, I don't think so.
We're talking about extremists.
Yes, and I think if they had gotten access to the senators, it would have been a lot worse.
Well, because if you look at, I don't know if y'all are on Twitter, but first of all,
Yes.
Twitter leftists are like better than the FBI. There have been videos that are now surfacing, like that people have pulled apart from other people's live feeds. Where
Yes.
people, like before they stormed the Capitol, or like right before they stormed the Capitol, or in the middle of them storming the Capitol, you hear people saying things like "put their heads on spikes," like they're gonna learn. Like they were ready to go in there and kill people.
Some of them were, but again, that mob wasn't organized.
I agree there.
Organized.
I do agree that it was not organized at all. I believe you had a lot of chiefs and not enough Indians in that situation.
How much do you know about the French Revolution? They weren't organized when they went in and chopped off Marie Antoinette's head.
I'm not saying it couldn't have been successful. I'm saying as soon as they got in that capital, they all scattered and didn't give a fuck. They all did what they wanted.
But here's the difference.
They did that because they evacuated Session.
But here's the difference.
I think because they evacuated Session, they got there and they were like, "Oh, well, what the fuck do we do now? I guess we're just gonna go and bust some shit up."
But here's the difference between the French Revolution and this little faux pas, sedition, this coup that happened the other day. People were starving to death while the rich were, celebrating and partying and doing all this stuff. They were so goddamn caught up from dying. That's why they went in there and they killed everybody. These people that stormed the Capitol are fucking cowards. Every
absolutely
fucking one
agree.
Of them, okay? 6 years ago, they were calling on going to the fucking Capitol and to the White House. We're going to citizen arrest the president for treason. I challenged all of them back then to do that. I challenged anyone. Go to the president. Please arrest him. No one had the fucking balls to fucking do it. The only reason they went there is because they were charged up and emboldened by Giuliani and Trump. Because Giuliani was like, trial by combat. Dude, seriously. Like, anybody could fart on Giuliani and he would die. He's that fucking weak for him to say such an asinine thing. And then Trump is just like, I'm going to go with you. Right? They really thought he was going to go there. That's why they went.
So, by the way, I want to point something out. I saw a video, and a lot of people were dragging the security officer. So, I don't know if you guys have seen the video, but there was this one little security officer against this group of these people, and people were dragging that security officer. I would like to defend that security officer for 1 second because it was like 1 versus 100. Did you expect this motherfucker to die?
Notice how they left the one black guy to deal with.
Right? I would like to also point that poor man got left the fuck alone, and he's just trying to survive. He's like, and I will give him credit. He's sitting there and he's got enough wherewithal while getting tracked down by these people to sit there and talk and say, hey, I'm on the 2nd floor. Hey, we're getting into the 3rd floor. He kept communication open as well. So good on him. I think he did a fucking fantastic job with what he was given.
There were some people that did a fantastic job, yes. There were also some officers that let them in there.
Oh, I saw that shit too.
There is a particular office in the Capitol where they held the electoral votes, okay? And I forget what it's called. My wife was telling me about this. I'm frozen again. Okay. If you named this office, most people don't know what it is. It was like the Sergeant of Arms of something. I really don't know. But it's an obscure office. No one knows where it is. Some people got in there looking for those electoral votes. They had actually removed them from there. And it tells me that some of those Capitol cops led them to that place. There were some of those people that actually were working with them. And those are the ones that I'm mad at. Not the guy that died, not the guy that was standing his ground at the top of the stairs while, the black guy, where all those people were coming to rush him. I mean, some of these guys were actually just trying to do their job to actually protect the Capitol. They had no clue what was going to happen, and they were so unprepared. The one guy getting crushed in the door, I mean...
The poor guy freaking had no chance. But yes, you're right. Those people who moved the guardrails and just let them in, they need to be arrested themselves. And
In fact,
because
anybody that walked into the Capitol, I mean, even if you put one foot into the Capitol, they should use that executive order, that law that Trump passed about damaging or attacking government property or statues. 10 years minimum. They should all get 10 years.
Well, and I'll tell you this much. Let's get into that. The guy from Gravit who was in Nancy Pelosi's office, who put his feet up on her desk, 1 year. 1 year maximum is what he is being charged with.
1 year.
1 year.
So they're not even going to use Trump's own laws against these people. It was a 10-year minimum.
You know why? Because white privilege.
Stealing government property and I believe abusing government property. 1 year maximum.
And then he'll get out in a year
Meanwhile,
he's going to be a fucking martyr to these people, and he's going to come out like, the guy from Ruby Ridge and be able to, be the next, guy to try to inspire everybody to do the shit again.
Meanwhile, you've got people here in our own state that are facing life in prison over shit they didn't even do, of which there is no evidence of which is just hearsay.
Right.
But you've got literal video and photo evidence of these motherfuckers busting shit up, and they got 1 year.
Calvin, yes, these are federal charges, though, and he's still only facing 1 year. Yeah. That's the depressing part of this.
Yeah, that's really sad. I mean, you're only going to get a year.
Explain that we are deeply rooted in a system of just the most disgusting level of white supremacy. Like, I just have no.
I don't. Trust me when I say this. I'm not a Nancy Pelosi fan. I wish they would have replaced her as the Speaker of the House. But the fact that he had his boots on the desk of the Speaker of the House of Representatives pisses me off.
Why?
Because it literally so disrespectful.
What are we? We're nothing but evolved apes, right? We're just highly evolved primates, and that's all this was. These people rushed into the Capitol, and it was a giant show. That's all it was. Unfortunately, 5 people died, in the whole disorder and chaos of everything. I know no one intended for that shit to happen, okay? They still should be held responsible for it, but it was all just a fucking show. That's it, man. It was just toxic masculinity. It was white supremacy going in there to say, hey, look what I can do. But to be outraged because he put his feet on the desk? I mean, no. The guy waving the Confederate flag in the Capitol.
That dude.
That is more of an outrage right
I was about to bring him up, too. That dude is a piece of shit human being, too. All these motherfuckers need to be arrested, and they need to be looking at multiple, I'm talking decades of jail time.
You use Trump's own laws when he passed that law as far as damaging Confederate statues, because he worded it in a way that it was any type of government building, any type of statue. You know what I'm saying? That was a 10-year minimum. That's what they need to use across the board. Because you can't get anybody on sedition. They're not going to be able to prove that. You can't get anybody on actual insurrection because they're not going to be able to prove all that. They're going to hire these lawyers. They're going to be able to word it and get them out of everything. But you can get them for desecrating the fucking Capitol.
So I've got to ask you guys, obviously getting back into the 25th and these articles of impeachment that Ilhan Omar is in Sox says Confederate flag guy was based.
What does based mean? I'm not.
Okay, hold on, because I just found out what based means because I didn't know either. It's a Gen Z thing. It's like saying like that's dope. Like I guess like
that's cool.
Yeah, like that.
Fucking Sox, you're crazy.
Hey,
it's cool to fucking fly a flag of treason in the capital of the United States.
Yeah,
are you fucking serious? Get out of here with that bullshit.
There are people that literally fucking died to make sure that flag never entered that capital.
Thank you. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit, Sox. Yeah. Anyway.
Over 1 million people died in that war. And it's nothing but a symbol of fucking treason. It's nothing but a symbol of white supremacy. The guy that created that particular flag actually said it was a symbol of white supremacy over the African race. He literally said that. So anybody that's like, hey, that's dope that was in there, go fuck off.
So getting back into Elian Omar and her articles of impeachment, as well as Nancy Pelosi, strong arming the presidential cabinet to try to get the 25th Amendment invoked. We have seen quite a bit of fallout from this. A lot of people, including Betsy DeVos, I believe is how you say her name, the education secretary, an education secretary a lot of people dislike, have come out and they've resigned their positions and said that they did not want anything to do with it because of the way Trump acted.
These people had 2 weeks anyway. I mean, quitting at this point doesn't mean shit.
With that being said, though, I ask you, is this these people actually resigning because they want nothing to do with Trump? Or is it like Manny Hispani said, and these people are just resigning so they don't have to throw his ass out and they can't force him to vote on this 25th Amendment? I tend to agree with that. I think that it's these Trump loyalists refusing to vote against him in this 25th Amendment talk.
See, I don't even give them that much credit. People give all these people too much credit for the things that they're doing. They're just fucking scrambling because they're fucking cowards. That's it. They just want away from this. They're done. They've done their time. They know it's over. Now they're just trying to escape. That's it.
It's certainly something to look at. Do you think, just when I think it's going to die down, though, it keeps getting brought back up? Do you think anything's going to happen with these articles of impeachment? That seems like a long time. I think if you want to actually make a change 11 days before the presidency changes hands, you have to use the 25th. And impeachment's going to take weeks, in my opinion. Well, you don't have weeks.
They're trying to rush it through as fast as possible. Mitch McConnell's still the leader of the House. The Senate right now. So
did it not turn over? I thought they swore in everybody already.
I don't think it turns over yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it has to wait until Biden actually takes office before it all officially can change, and even past that point. So McConnell still has some power.
By the way, is Chuck Schumer going to be the Senate Majority Leader
if they elect him?
Okay, so it's still. I thought it was automatic. I didn't know.
I don't think so.
Also, on the topic of impeachment, if he gets impeached and forcibly removed from office, he doesn't.
He loses all his privileges.
Yeah, he doesn't get his.
Thank you for removing yourself, Socks.
See you cucks later. Hey, seriously, Socks, go fuck yourself.
Oh man, you just attract all the fash.
Right.
So he loses. He doesn't get to have access to Secret Service for the rest of his life. He doesn't get his $200K a year. There's all these things that he does not have access to, and
he can't run for president again.
That's what I was about to say. That's the bright spot for me.
You literally incited an insurrection against your own fucking government. Why should you get any of these goddamn privileges?
Right.
What? Never mind all the other bullshit that he's done.
Tuesday or Wednesday, my days are running together. Tuesday or Wednesday alone should have been the end of it. That should have been, honestly, there shouldn't have even been a question. That night, they should have voted on the 25th. Pence should already be president of the United States, in my opinion. There shouldn't have been a debate. There shouldn't have been nothing.
They're trying not to set precedents that can actually be used against the Democrats later on. Everybody's walking such a fine line. But they're all walking such a fine line right now. They're afraid anything that they do will be used against them later on if they don't like Biden. Well, of course it will. Yes.
Well, and here's the thing. That's politics. But here's the thing. Like I told you guys in the group chat, the next 2 years, whether the House and Senate are in Democratic control and the presidency are in Democratic control, the next 2 years, you are about to see Washington walk on fucking eggshells because I completely disagree. Neither party will want to fuck this up as divided as what everything is right now.
I've been saying it forever. When Biden comes in office, nothing's going to change. He's not going to drastically change anything. He's a fucking crony capitalist. Yep. And yeah, he just wants to make sure, just like Trump did, all the rich stay rich.
Yep.
remember, they're going to play the long game in this. They're not coming for your fucking guns. They're not coming for. They're not going to fucking implement any sort of new abortion laws. They're gonna play easy politics for the next 2 years at least until the midterms. If they expand their leads in the midterms, maybe you might see a little bit more progressive movements, but not for the first two.
There are no progressives in this administration.
Facts.
Upcoming, none.
Are we counting like the Senate? Like, are we counting?
Oh,
like,
no,
Congress?
I'm talking about the Biden administration.
Okay.
There will be no.
I'm talking about the Senate alone, what they're going to be throwing out there, not from Biden.
Even
because you've got now. Granted, the squad done already in the last couple weeks rolled back their attitude about some things. So
a few things, but like AOC she's spoken against universal health care. What the fuck? She's supposed to be the most leftist progressive in the Senate, and she says something like that. Is she going to fall behind Biden now and become a centrist just like he is? One thing
I will say, though, probably the most radical thing you will see over the next 2 years, we're going to get our $2,000 now, I believe. I do believe that. I believe within the first month that'll happen, but trust me, I think for the next 2 years, you're going to see Washington walk on eggshells. You may see minor changes. Maybe defense spending may go down. Taxes may increase just a hair. But that's it. You're not going to see anything, like I said, you're not going to see major gun reform. You're not going to see anything crazy.
It's going to be an exact repeat of when President Obama took over, when he had control of the House and Senate as well.
I think it's going to be even more than that.
But they always play it safe because they're thinking about the next election. And it's like, no, motherfucker, come out swinging. You have the power right now. Make some goddamn change for America.
You say that, but if they do that in 2 years, it'll all be switched back over.
At least do something. They need to fucking show.
But that's what I'm saying. So they do something, and in 2 years, when the Republicans gain control, they're going to change it all back to the way it was.
Let's see. If we did Medicare for all, everyone had universal health care.
You're going to get it for 2 years.
Do you really think if the entire nation had universal health care, they're going to vote to repeal that?
I guarantee you.
No.
I guarantee you. Remember, this is the same nation that voted for Donald Trump.
No, people would not give up universal health care.
In record numbers, mind you. Even though he lost, he still replaced Obama. Obama's now third as the top vote getter in presidential election history, behind Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Remember that. Remember where we are as a country right now.
I would say that
I would agree still. I think it'll go. I think the Republicans will take control back of the Senate, by the way, Calvin, in 2 years again.
In regards to universal health care, the reason I disagree is because I don't think like a lot of Trump's base are poor rural white people, primarily from racist communities. Like, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
But they are poor. Like, they have just as little access to healthcare as poor people I'm not saying just as little, but something that they don't realize is that they have more in common with their poor black neighbor than what they have in common with the rich white people that are in power. And
you just hit the nail on the head, though.
I think having access to universal health care, once they have access to it, is something they would not be willing to give up.
I think you just hit the nail on the head, though. These are people that tend to vote against their better judgment and their betterment. These are people that tend to be uneducated or refuse to be educated. These are the people that get their stories from Facebook, and they refuse to watch the mainstream media because it's toxic.
But imagine if those people had access to resources.
Right.
Imagine if they use them. Access. Absolutely.
Yes.
Because these people, I mean, if you look at the demographics of like who actually uses state assistance, it is primarily poor white people in the
Yes.
southern states.
Yes.
So
The most people on welfare in this country are poor white people. That's what people don't realize. The myth of the urban black woman who just pumps out babies to get welfare checks. It's a lie. It's a lie that they've been telling for 30 fucking years to scare white people.
Yep.
Well, I'll say this much too, though. In response to that, I know people that used Obamacare that still voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah, but Obamacare was
even though you're sitting there handing them something that will better their life, people still, Republicans especially, still tend to vote against their better interest.
But I also disagree that Obamacare made anything better.
Mitch McConnell could come out tomorrow and be like, "Hey guys, we're gonna pass something here in 2 years if you give us the majority back, and it'll be better than this universal health care shit that they just passed. We're gonna repeal and replace, and guess what? It'll work."
I don't think that the American people would fall for that bullshit again because they fell for it once with Trump. We're going to rebuild. We're going to replace. What did he bring in 4 years? Not a goddamn thing.
I agree.
What did the majority of Republicans in Congress, what did they bring to the table to replace Obamacare? Nothing. They never planned to do it at all.
I agree. But I'll also argue with this. Had Mitch McConnell not stonewalled those $2,000 payments, I still believe the Republicans would have the majority.
I don't know.
As close as what that was, I think that was the final nail.
No, I think the final deal was Trump coming out and calling it a fraudulent election on election night. You and I were there. We were watching that, and all the bullshit that has happened since. That's what caused Georgia to flip. People were just like, we're tired of this shit.
And what caused
I'm still shocked how close it was, by the way.
I have a little bit of insight into the Georgia situation, and they worked like all these different organizations worked very fucking hard to get the proletariat, like especially the black community, registered to vote, providing people with rights to the polls, combating voter suppression. And I think it is I think it would be very disingenuous of us to not say that black folks, especially black women, Georgia.
I agree.
Hands down. Every fucking white person, every fucking white liberal and white leftist needs to be bowing at the feet of these black activists and these black women, especially these black queer women that fucking saved Georgia.
I would agree.
And like, it's just, I think that is what flipped. I
would agree.
I think they banded so hard together, and I wish that we could see shit like that happening all over the country. And so this is just my very public announcement of another situation where we should be just like, black women.
One thing I wanted to hit on real quick too. Richard's not here. I really wanted to get his perspective about that. Again, I want to apologize because of my computer crashing that he couldn't be on. We're going to try it again tomorrow. But the extremists,
their job to do that, by the way, just as an FYI.
Right. The extremists are planning something on the 17th. If you look at Parler, if you look at Twitter, if you look at Facebook.
Is that why they shut down Parler?
Yes. That's why Parler's being shut down.
And they're already on Reddit as a backup.
Yes. They're already on Reddit, 4chan, 8chan, all the other things that they can get on. And they are calling for another run at the Capitol. They're calling for a civil war. Again, these are a bunch of splinter groups that are talking a lot of shit. I don't think they can organize quickly enough and actually have leadership put into place to actually do the kind of damage they want, but they can do something like what happened, last week and cause a few people to die. And I don't want that to happen.
I'll tell you this much. I'm a little bit nervous about 11 days from now. I'm more worried about actual inauguration day.
I'm not. I'm worried about that guy in his basement right now like Timothy McVeigh was.
And that's why I'm worried. When do you make the biggest impact, Sean? When do you make the biggest impact? 3 days before or on the day?
When everybody.
And remember, they're not expecting people to be there because of this social distancing. They're doing a virtual inauguration. So, security may not be paying as much attention as they normally would.
They better be.
They're going to be.
I hope they would be.
Yeah. I mean, if they don't take it seriously now, people will die.
But you would hope that they would have been paying attention the day they were certifying the fucking vote.
No one took it seriously.
That's the problem. Nobody's going to take this seriously.
When it's Black Lives Matter, everybody's all up in arms. Oh, we're going to die.
Thank you.
When it's white supremacists that are actually violent people, they're all like...
You're making my point for me, Sean.
You know what the difference is? The black in front of that word.
You're making my point for me, Sean. People are going to roll their eyes. Oh, they're not going to do anything. This is over.
I think at this point they are taking it seriously, and nothing is going to happen like it did. You might have some protests, you might have some skirmishes, but I think the National Guard and everything is going to be put in place this time.
I think Inauguration Day, I am less worried about something happening in DC. Well, I'm less worried about something happening to Biden on Inauguration Day and more worried about in these other metropolitan centers across the United States.
Right. See, that's what I'm
concerned. Yes. I'm concerned about Atlanta. I'm concerned about Chicago. Right. I'm concerned about even Little Rock. I'm concerned about Dallas. I'm concerned about Louisville, Nashville, Memphis. I'm concerned about what is going to happen in other pockets of the country.
I'd be more worried about the Northwest, Michigan, places where these militias have been around for a very long time. Them planning on some kind of terrorist attack on a government building, something like that on Inauguration Day around a Capitol or something. That's what I'm afraid of right there. Yeah. Not the mob rule thing. They're gonna.
Well, I'm not necessarily worried about mob rule. I'll tell you this much. I'm worried about anything surrounding DC on that day. I'm worried about somebody potential. We may not even hear about it, but I can almost guarantee somebody will try to get in there and get at Joe that day. I can almost guarantee you, as crazy as his face is.
I don't even think Joe's the target. I think Kamala would be the target.
I wouldn't be surprised if Kamala was the target too.
Right. That's who I'm more worried about because, if Joe has a heart attack and dies, Kamala takes over, right? And everybody's worried about Joe's health and everything right now. So if you were this extremist, who would you really want to target in that situation?
All I'm saying is I hope that they're prepared. Because these people are fucking insane and they just showed it.
Right. Well, I think this last week has awoken Washington, D.C., they're going to be ready for the next thing that comes along.
I'll also say this, though. Ted Cruz probably just cost himself his fucking seat come next time he runs because of his actions over the past week. Do what?
Isn't AOC working right now to get him thrown out of the Senate?
I think that's true, Millie. That's very true. I think that they are, but, once again, it's one of those situations, will it actually happen? Kind of like the 25th Amendment. I hope it would, but man.
Right.
I'm also actually really proud at the response from the Republican Party at these people who, a lot of people dropped after this bullshit that happened Tuesday. There was going to be a lot more of these disagreements with the Electoral College. But this shit Tuesday, people were like, you know what? Fuck this. This ain't worth this bullshit. And they dropped it.
However, you spend an entire fucking administration enabling this white supremacist fascist leader. And then when he does white supremacist fascist shit, all of a sudden you want to be like, oh no, this is too extreme for me. Like, nah, you don't get to back out now. You are just as complicit. You enabled this. You helped allow this to happen. Fuck them all as far as I'm concerned.
I would agree they did allow it to happen, and it pisses me off. But it gives me hope for the future for the party that they are waking up.
No, they trying to save face and they trying to save their ass. I would bet my right titty, and it's my biggest one. So I'm quite attached to it. But they are all behind closed doors, chit chatting with each other, and like, hey, oh, you need to calm down, da 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 da, and just all having a good old bottle of scotch over dinner together.
I mean, do I think Mitch McConnell all of a sudden had a fucking change of heart? Probably not. Do I think Tom Cotton is all of a sudden not a bastard? Oh no. Tom's still a bastard, but that doesn't take away from the fact that these people did finally take a step back. A lot of these people who were planning on challenging. The only person that really stuck his feet in the ground was Ted Cruz, of all people. And Ted's going to pay the price for it.
Isn't he that Zodiac killer? Isn't that the joke that they all made?
I legitimately think Ted's going to pay the price for supporting the president until the end. I think this is the end. I think Tom has officially surpassed him as the leader of the Republican Party, at least that sect of the Republican Party.
Right.
I think literally Ted Cruz, by continuing to support these election challenges that night after all of this shit, committed political suicide.
Right.
I don't know, still a white dude. I bet he still has a career in politics.
It's like a lot of
it is Texas.
These Capitol cops, once they get fired, and again, I don't know if they're from the Washington, D.C. area or not. A lot are vets. Some of them move there for these types of jobs. All they got to do is move to some rural town somewhere. They can become a cop somewhere else. That's the sad part about that.
But yeah, I think like Nelly said, I think the Republicans kind of got some smelling salts the day this happened, and they finally were like, you know what, fuck this bullshit.
Right.
We ain't dealing with this. And like you said, Fox, should we think that they're just great overnight? No, but I do believe in commending somebody when they make a good decision, and I do have to commend them, a lot of them, for dropping their challenges and dropping the bullshit obstructing of this situation and saying, you know what? There you go. Mike Pence is, like I said, I have got to applaud Mike Pence for his actions over the past 7 days. Has he just been doing something that he should have been doing all along? Absolutely. But he's finally doing it, and he's actually doing something within the administration where he can invoke a change. And hopefully he can take some of these Trumpers that aren't fully just washed in the blood and drank the Kool-Aid and make them see the error of the ways of the administration at this point. I mean, once again, like we've said multiple times, Mike's a career politician. Mike knows he's playing the game. Good on Mike for doing the right thing on this.
I wanted to say real quick that a lot of people have taken my opinion about this a little wrong over the last few days, because they're kind of pushing this narrative that I'm kind of being an apologetic towards the mob rule and everything like that. It's not that at all. I'm extremely pissed off, and I want to scream, and I want to fight, and I want to defend the innocent that are being trampled upon because of this. The fact that they attempted this faux pas coup, but just like at 9/11, I've learned over the last 25 years, they don't do a fucking thing about any of this stuff. And I'm not going to get my fucking hopes up. I'm tired of trying to put my faith into people to do the right thing. I just don't have the faith that Biden's going to do the right thing. Pelosi's going to do the right thing. Trump is not going to be held accountable for any of this shit. Okay? He's going to walk scot-free away. And I hate to say that, but I think that's the reality of it. And it breaks my heart that that's probably what's really going to happen. We can be as fired up and angry as we want to and call for justice, but how many times do we get justice, especially here in America?
Facts.
Honest justice.
Facts. You cannot depend on the people in power to go against their own interests.
Right.
Like they want to keep power. They want to maintain that hierarchy, because if any power goes to the people, any small amount of power goes to the people, then they lose their own, and they don't want that. Like, no, of course they're not going to do anything. Yes.
And Melly's right. It is sad. I will agree with that statement. Just going back to me agreeing with Fox that, just because I'm saying good on them, that I agree with them all of a sudden. Mel said, sad that it took them to have their lives threatened to have them change their mind. And she just said Fox is correct. It's absolutely correct. These people do want to keep and maintain the status quo.
Right.
If you think Nancy Pelosi isn't just as bad as Mitch McConnell as far as a power grabbing person, you're mistaken yourself.
Right.
Once again, the fact that Nancy Pelosi almost was defeated as Speaker of the House makes me have a little hope, but it should have fucking happened.
But another thing too, when you look at all those congressmen that were cowering in the chamber, hiding and they're trying to see, are they going to be shot? That should be a fucking wake-up call to all those fucking school shootings that we've had over the last few years. They need to pass legislation, gun control, to stop people from having the ability to do the bullshit that kills people in mass like this.
But unfortunately, who controls the modern Republican Party?
Right.
And there's enough modern Republican Party that can convince a few Democrats to not let it happen.
Well, even Biden's not going to push for gun control. It's just not going to happen.
Right. Once again, eggshells. Eggshells for at least 2 years.
Yeah. So we got Trump out. Yay. He was going to leave anyway.
I would agree with that statement. I think, once again, it comes down to this. Now all of a sudden he wants to say, oh, well, guys, he wants to change course. And guys, we can't be doing that. Shame on them. Shame on them for storming the Capitol. I am disappointed. Motherfucker, you were just talking about you guys are special and just go home. It's okay. You're special and we love you. Motherfucker, no, we don't love you. You're a fucking cocksucking traitor and I hope you fucking die. I'm sorry, but that's where I am at this point.
That's another thing too.
Your evolution and all this is fantastic. We'll radicalize you soon enough, I bet.
The Capitol Police were so ill prepared for this type of situation. They never trained for someone trying to overrun the Capitol. Never.
What does it go back to? Training.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Well, I mean, as far as the Capitol Police, I mean, if they had been able to do what they should do, it could have turned out a lot more people would have died, probably should have, and it might have stopped this a lot sooner instead of them running rampant through there for 2 fucking hours.
There were 1,800 Capitol Police that were on duty that day.
Right.
1,800.
Yeah.
A lot of them were complicit, though.
But if you look at the videos, we didn't see no damn 1,800 police. Where the fuck were they?
Agreed.
Well, they did.
Agreed.
They did say a lot were around the outskirts of the Capitol.
I genuinely, with every fiber of my soul, would disagree that on that day that training was the issue. I think you had a vast majority of those cops that wanted those people inside.
I would agree. Especially you see the video where they're removing the barriers and shit. Like, no
amount of training would have changed that at all.
I think we did it.
I'm sorry, that one guy standing up against all that mob of people. I don't care how well he's trained.
That poor guy was going to get fucked up if he tried to.
They're going to mow him down.
Yeah.
So training those people does not change the psychology of the ingrained white supremacy and pro-bourgeoisie mentality that comes from the institution of policing.
And see, you could honestly say 300 Spartans would disagree with you right there.
And guess what? They all died.
Yeah, but they still were able to stop an entire army from destroying their city. Things can be done with the proper amount of training. And you know what? If you don't want to lose your life, don't take that kind of job. When you're a police officer in America, especially, you could lose your fucking life. If you're afraid of that, don't be a goddamn cop.
I mean, I don't disagree with that in general, but I'm also this isn't Sparta. And
no, it's not. It's not Sparta. But I'm just saying, with the correct amount of training.
Ended up taking over anyway.
No, but I'm just saying, with the proper amount of training, that could have been quashed pretty quickly. You could have instilled enough fear into that huge mob to be like, Jesus, I don't want to fucking die. And some of them would have turned away. Some might have kept going and died, and then more would have turned away. I mean, when it comes down, when you see people die, that's a big fucking motivator to say, I'm not going there. I'm not going to do that.
I would say this though, Melly, I would agree. I think the fact that they did take the barrier down shows that some of the people in the Capitol either sympathize with this cause or they had people on the inside. There's no way that they didn't either sympathize or have somebody in the Capitol Police when they take the barrier and move it.
Guys, yeah, you sympathize with that shit.
I'm also gonna say if y'all know me, I'm not caping for cops, but when I'm looking at these videos, there's like 20 of the cops like standing at a barrier. If there's 20 of us and there's 600 of you, I don't know that I'd put up much of a fight either.
Right.
So I think it was a little of that. I think it was a little of sympathizing. I think it was a little of inside planning. I just think
depends
in general,
on the situation.
It was all fucked up.
If I thought people were going to die and I was going to be one of them, I'm taking some out with me.
I would agree there. That may be the military.
I also would be that way, but I know a lot of I don't know a whole lot about the way that they train their Capitol Police, but I know that Little Rock Capitol Police, they're basically
security guards.
Yeah, they're glorified security guards. Yeah. They don't go to work expecting any of that the way that a beat cop goes into the streets all the time. You know what I'm saying? And so I think the mentality there is a little different. Now, I don't hate for cops. All cops are bastards. Fuck 12.
Right.
I want to make sure that anyone watching understands that's exactly where I still stand. But I think. Oh, ow, cramp. I think
Millie makes a great point. She said a 15-to-1 ratio. She would probably back down. But with the proper training, you can turn that around.
Yeah, very true.
If they had felt secure, if they had felt secure enough to pull that gun, I think when bodies started dropping, it wouldn't have happened.
Now, here's my question, because you have that famous photo now, that now famous photo of, and I don't actually think it was a Capitol policeman. It may have been Secret Service because they were dressed in a suit, but inside of the Capitol with the guys inside of the Capitol pointing the guns at the protesters that were inside of the actual hallway there. And that's, probably going to go down as a famous photo in all sorts of history books. The question is, number one that I have is, did July prevent them from pulling that trigger? Or is it because it was a white person on the other side that they didn't pull that trigger? That's my question. Do you want a little bit of this makes me wonder if perception came into play with this?
Absolutely. If you're a white cop and you see a white person coming at you, you're going to hesitate because this is me. I don't want this to happen. Right? It happens all over the fucking country. But when a black person comes along, they're trained to see that as an aggressor immediately. And of course they're going to gun a black person down because that's not me. They're trained that way.
Agreed.
I've just done I've read a lot of literature. I don't know how much y'all know about Decarcerate, which is a nonprofit here in Central Arkansas that deals with the prison industrial complex.
Yes.
So I've done a lot of work and read a lot of things about the psychology that goes into police training, and they are literally trained. They are literally trained to see poor people of color as a threat.
But it's not just
But my other question, though, the other part to that I wanted to ask was, do you believe that there was pressure to the Capitol Police to say, do this with as few bodies as possible?
No.
Because they knew it was on national TV. They knew everything was going on.
No, that was complete chaos. Nobody knew. And you go back to what Fox was just saying about police training. There's two things that are very important that they teach police. And I know a few cops that I've discussed this with them as far as their training and everything like that. Number one, it is us versus them. That's number one.
Agreed.
Okay? Police do not see citizenry as people.
Agreed.
It is us versus them. Number two, they are taught to always come home. Okay? No matter what. So, us versus them, always come home at the end of the day. They're going to fucking kill you if they have the chance to do it.
But my thing is this. The perception would have been much, much worse on the Capitol Police if there was a stack of bodies at the Capitol because they mowed them down.
Here's what I will say to that. No, actually, I don't think there was that kind of forethought put into it by any means, but I do agree with that statement, and here is why I agree with that statement. I think that is a big reason, even with the system of white supremacy, even with everything. I think that is also a big reason that they've not used live rounds on Black Lives Matter protesters, because the minute you actually shoot the first bullet against your own citizens, and I think we're gonna see consequences of that with what is her name, Amy something.
You're talking about the woman that died, the first one that was reported. Yeah,
correct. I think we're going to see consequences of that over the next several months, because
that was a clean shot.
The minute you accept live rounds against citizens, I mean, not to say whether or not it's justified,
right?
Not to say, the minute you set that precedent, everything changes.
Once again, I'm not disagreeing. Me and Sean would go in and drop a bomb on these motherfuckers if they were threatening the Capitol. I would at least. Fuck them. No. But I'm saying perception-wise, you can't do that.
I would agree.
So, like, at Kent State, that was the National Guard attacking students on their ground, okay? This is the Capitol. This is where the police were. Their job is to protect that place. Their job is to protect those people. That's a clean kill. They're not facing any consequences for that.
The difference is, if I recall, like, they were attacking students, like, on their own property.
Right.
But weren't they protesting? Like some anti-state or anti-establishment?
I think it was.
Okay.
Yes, it was the Vietnam War.
The difference here. Okay, so you're directly going against the state. Here, you have people who are protesting, but they're pro-establishment. Like, they are pro-bourgeoisie. They are pro-white supremacy. And when our system is deeply rooted in those ideologies, it is against the interest of the state to mow those people down, because those are the people that give them the power that they have.
Well, and Sean, one thing I want to point out to you, though, is look at 9/11. There was a plane full of potential American citizens that George W. Bush that wasn't responding, and they had to ask George W. Bush, "Do you want to shoot this plane down?" And George said he had to think of the fact of how it would look if he shot down a plane full of American citizens, as long as it was hijacked. It's still a thought. It's still a thought if you authorize use of deadly force against citizens.
Okay, so like you said earlier that you and I would drop a bomb on these people.
Metaphorically, we would have fucked them up, is my opinion, and not thought about it.
But I would have went about it in a more strategic way. I would have went about it in a way to stop certain areas. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to mass kill people. I have an objective. My objective is to stop them here. Move to the next objective. Stop them there. That's how the military mind works, right?
Agreed.
That's why I keep saying this wasn't an insurrection. This wasn't a coup, because it was nothing but chaos, mob rule. They did not know what they were doing. If they did, we would have hundreds of people dead.
You know, I never thought about this till right now, but Melly makes a good point. Where the fuck were the snipers?
They were at the White House on the roof.
Yeah, they were at the White House.
They had snipers on the roof.
Why did they not use them?
C-SPAN, because I was ping-ponging back and forth between the live feeds or whatever, but C-SPAN reported, like, there was a lady on the ground that was reporting with the C-SPAN person, I guess, in the studio, that stated, yes, we see snipers, there are snipers on the roof. You know what? Like, I feel like a broken record. White supremacy, white privilege. These are white people that are pro-establishment.
They don't want to kill their own.
Once again, though, are you saying, though, that you don't think that it was even brought to, you know, in this, we got to assume it was Pence that was making the calls on this day, because they didn't allow Trump in the conversation to deploy the National Guard.
The timeline, how it actually broke down was that when people started talking about what Fox is talking about, people were reporting this is going to happen. They're going to attack, all of this and that. No one took it seriously. The Capitol Police didn't take it seriously. They were left in charge. When this was brought up to the White House, hey, do we need to go ahead and bring in the National Guard? It's Trump's call.
Have y'all not seen
And he
the
said
video?
no.
Trump wasn't in that meeting. Did you not hear that?
Have you not seen the video where they're all huddled in a tent together and Trump's there and like everybody's there and they're literally watching on a computer screen everything unfold in front of them while playing music in the background and laughing about it? Like, yes.
Laughing.
Hold on, I'm gonna find that video for you.
But Trump wasn't in the meeting with Pence, Pelosi, and everybody else.
Okay, first off, listen, Trump is the chief, the commander-in-chief. He is the final be-all, end-all. He is the one that makes that decision. They cannot supersede him until it's an emergency situation, which they did 2 hours later.
Okay, so you're saying that the reason why Trump wasn't consulted later was because it was an emergency situation.
Yes, absolutely. When it became chaos, they could supersede him in an emergency situation. Up until that point, the commander-in-chief has complete control, just like he has control.
So, I mean, not only did Trump empower this by his words, he empowered it by his actions.
Yes. Yes, that's why they want to remove him right now. There are people that are afraid that he might just drop a nuke somewhere in America right now.
I mean, that's absolutely true what Nancy said about they need to get the nuclear codes away from him.
But okay, number one, I don't think he's that stupid, and two, I don't think anyone would follow that order. You and I both know, having served in the military, you can refuse orders.
True. But would he just find somebody that would follow that order?
I don't think there's anybody that has the power to do that would follow that order.
I mean, knowing Trump, he's been known to fire people for not listening.
Dude, I would straight up tell that motherfucker to kiss my ass. Fire
I agree, but unfortunately, there's probably some supporters within the U.S. military.
Oh, I'm sure there's a few, yeah. I mean, hell, we had white supremacists when I was stationed at Fort Bragg.
Right.
There was all sorts of bullshit going on there. I mean, hell, we had a fucking shooting on post. It was insane.
Melly, if you're saying they have to follow it, they don't have to follow it. You can.
No, they don't.
There is protection if you believe that an order is unlawful. You can tell them no.
Yes. Yeah, you don't have.
Will they bully you and harass you?
Absolutely.
Of course they will.
Can you face consequences for refusing an order? Absolutely.
I said, Donald Trump can absolutely fucking fire whoever the fuck refused that order because I'm assuming he would be giving it to the Joint Chief, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
And in the military, they may like harass and bully and haze the fuck out of you, but I mean,
fucking Vietnam, when you had soldiers raping and killing children, and soldiers would stand up against it, they just popped that fucker in the head, and then they'd say that was friendly fire.
Pat Tillman.
Pat Tillman.
On paper, there are no consequences, but don't get fucked up.
Pat Tillman, an actual American hero. An atheist hero of mine who stood up against bullshit that was happening and was murdered by his own unit.
Yep.
And Donald Rumsfeld sat there in front of his family and smiled and said that they did such a great job. Fuck that shit.
Poor Pat Tillman.
Right?
I will say that. Poor Pat
I'll
fucking
never forget
Tillman.
when I was in high school, this is unrelated to Capitol Siege, but it's related to that. When I was in high school, maybe high school, early college, but this would have been high school because it was kind of towards the end of the War on Terror or whatever. I remember these videos started surfacing of these ex-military boys, and they would have been early 20s or whatever, and they were talking about the shit that was just happening over there, how people, soldiers were going into the homes of suspected Al-Qaeda members. And sometimes they weren't even Al-Qaeda members at all. And they were raping their wives in front of them and holding their kids at gunpoint and all this other kind of shit. And it's that kind of shit that makes me just have no sympathy when people want to fuck with America, because we go over and we have been committing just atrocities against Black, brown, and indigenous communities for centuries. And so I just don't give a fuck anymore.
As much as I say we need to have a better vetting process for cops, We also need to have a better vetting process for military members. I can absolutely agree with that.
I mean, I actually, when it comes to the military situation, like, and this is just like, I am just a bitter old leftist. I would love to exist in a world where war is not a thing that happens.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
I actually, you're going to be surprised. I disagree with that statement because in order to make war happen, you almost need those people that are kind of removed from their
Kind of
humanity.
shitty. Yeah.
Like, and I mean, like, that's the nature of war. Like, how else are you going to get kill shots and then be able to go home and be a functioning human being? You know what I'm saying? Like that's just kind of the reality of what war is.
Well, and
But
see, I disagree. You know, we actually had this debate when I was in the military. This dude told me, "Oh yeah, I could pop somebody in the head and not even blink twice." Sorry, said that. Oh yeah, I could pop somebody in the head and not think twice. And I was like, dude, there's no fucking way you could kill somebody and not fucking be fucked up
Yeah,
by it.
some
I
people
mean, there are
can. They're
people who
called a
do.
psychopath.
That's what I'm
I would
saying.
agree, but I think those are the people we need to have removed from the military. Like, you stepped away, but I said I think we need, just like cops, we need to have a better vetting process for our military members as well.
Oh,
I
well,
guess
yeah,
to
I
me
would agree with that.
the point of war, I mean, I'm not saying that it should be this way or that I agree with it. I'm just objectively looking at war as a concept. The point of war is to win. And my personal, like, if I were a fascist leader trying to win a war, I would do so by any means necessary. And and fascist
But
leaders do it by any means. Like, America does it by any means necessary. They
the,
go and they rape and they pillage, and then they say that they didn't, and then they bomb communities that had nothing to do with anything, and then they go and they steal all these resources. Like, that's how wars are won. I'm not saying it's ethical, but
right.
that's what happens. Like, that is what happens. And
Well,
so
I mean, the point.
I don't think you could win if you
Right.
did not have those people willing to commit atrocities against humanity to win.
You want
Does
to
that
win
make
a
sense?
war, but I think the point of war is the failure of wealthy people to communicate. And that's why we have wars, over religion, over politics, over borders, over all this other bullshit.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's
But
why we have them. I just mean, like,
yeah,
once you're in one, the goal is
but
to win.
but we're never going to see the end of the war on terror. That was the brilliance of what they did after 9/11. They named it the war on terror. This war will go on forever. It's just not going to stop. It's an excuse to keep the military industrial complex, to keep them growing every single year. I mean, we have
I
a
agree.
fucking empire all over the fucking world. People
Yep.
refuse to acknowledge that.
Yep.
There's not a nation out there that we don't have a base on, right?
That and what
Except
other
except
nation do
North
you know
Korea,
of that has bases elsewhere? Like, we don't. We
right?
have embassies in America for different countries, but do other
Right.
countries have a base here? Do other countries have a base in
Right.
Canada? Like,
Exactly. I mean,
I
our
mean, I don't
military
actually know if
presence
they
is
do or
out there
don't.
to abuse and steal all the resources as possible,
Yep.
and there's no end in sight. If
Nope.
we actually had true progressives that would do something in this country, they would stop that. And that's what we need. We need to shut down. Eisenhower warned us about it before he left office. He said the industrial military complex will be the end of us, and I think that's the absolute truth.
Oh, okay, y'all. Anything else?
No, I think we've done good
Fuck
right
12,
now.
fuck ICE.
Yeah. But we're gonna try again tomorrow at 9. I didn't have any but two glitches today, so that was a pretty good test for me.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and Richard will be with us, so we're definitely going to get another perspective. Um, he's not 100% behind Trump, but I don't think he's going to agree with a lot of what we said today. So it'll be interesting to see that side. So 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, we're going to go at this again, and we'll have the Spartan with us, and he's actually going to put up quite a fight, I believe.
I think we may have some fun tomorrow.
All right.
I'm so excited. I'm gonna set my alarm. I'll be here for that one.
Good.
Okay.
All right. So there's
Sean's like, yes.
there's 6 people watching us live right now. If you really want to see the best show that we've done yet, it's going to be tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I really think
Fox gonna go off. It's gonna be
it,
great.
it's going to be quite a battle, and we're all going to go back and forth. And again, I don't want anyone to take any of us the wrong way. We all love America for our own reasons.
Do we though?
I
I
do.
I was born here. I think I love my country. I just wish I could change it,
Exactly.
right? And I think most people feel that way. If we could change the things the way that we wanted them to be, yeah, we love this country.
No.
Really?
I think we love the idea of America more than anything. I think we love the promise that America could be one day. Melly says she won't be up, and Dina says I'll be there. So
Well, it'll be live, and then you can check it out if you're not live watching us. So yeah, it's going to be on Facebook. It's going to be on YouTube. Yeah. What's that?
I said abolish borders, abolish the state. We are on stolen land.
I
hey,
agree.
touche.
Yeah, those are some of the changes that I would make. I still love where I was born, though.
I mean, I love the community, I guess, that I grew up in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't connect that to like the establishment of America.
No. What I'm talking about is our
America
people.
could get fucked, like.
Yeah.
But my people are people, like, period. I don't know. I just don't.
Yeah. I guess that's what I meant to say.
Yeah. Like I said, the idea.
Okay.
Like, if America did not exist, these people would still be my people.
Right.
Okay, y'all. With that being said, we will beat up on Richard the Spartan tomorrow. Stay tuned. We may have some more fun today. I don't know. We will holler at you later.